Hey everybody, it's the Red Zone Thursday night, ready to rock and roll. You know what? Texas ball is almost over, but you know what? Professional playoffs and bowl seasons are on the corner. So it's the Red Zone. It's time to make sure that we all grow together with a whole group of educators from different parts of the country and the Western Hemisphere. Josh Novat, Pro Principal of Memorial Pathway Academy and Garland ISD, Garland, USA. Ready to learn from each other. But you know what? We cannot learn better than from our team members in the trenches who are there with our students day after day after day. So wherever you are, whether you're in Alaska, whether you're in Hawaii, whether you're in Maine, whether you are in Florida or anywhere in the middle, we're all stronger together, learning from each other because that's what this business is all about. Stronger, united, and taking each other's tools and making them our own. What do you think about that, Dean?
Hey, I'm going to steal a little bit of that energy and say, let's go, Josh! You nailed it tonight. There's no doubt about it. Hey, guys, happy Thursday to everybody out there. Dean Packard, Principal of Charlton Middle School in Charlton, Massachusetts. Great to have you on a Thursday night. We brought together tonight a great panel of educators from around the country, and I'm really excited to be able to dig into a little conversation that just makes us all a little bit better. So that's enough about you and me, Josh. Let's just kind of go around the table and introduce everybody here. Brian, why don't you start off? Who are you, where are you from, and what are you all about, brother?
Yeah, my name is Brian Martin. I'm a second grade teacher. I'm the host of the Teaching Champions podcast. And I'm just happy to be here. Blessed to be with a longtime fan of Unlock the Middle. So just happy to be here with Dean and Josh.
Love it. Great stuff. Kick it down to Ginger.
Hi, I am in actually Rockwell, Texas, not far from Josh. I am a homeschool mom.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. I interrupted you. I said, I'm sorry to hear that you're that close to Josh. I apologize. I retract that statement. Please continue.
He sits across from me in church.
Oh, sorry.
I'm currently a homeschool mom. Before homeschooling, I taught middle school science, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, a variety of years. I have 2 degrees in education, but like I said, right now, I just homeschool my twins.
Biggest job ever right there, Ginger. Great job. Thanks so much. Tim, over to you, but welcome back to the show again.
Thanks very much, Dean. Yeah, I'm Tim Stevenson. I'm in Langley, British Columbia, Canada. We're up in the Pacific Northwest. Normally a fairly temperate climate. We got a lot of snow out there right now, which is a little unusual for our part of the world, but it makes the Christmas lights sparkle, which is kind of fun. I'm an astronomy and chemistry teacher at a local high school, grade 12. And Ginger, I am a former homeschooler. I have 4 kids. All of them were homeschooled.
Nice connection there. You guys are going to have to talk a little more after the show. There's no doubt about it. Samantha.
Hi, my name is Samantha Garza. I am in my 9th year teaching. I have been doing SPED life skills from the beginning, and I am first year behavior teacher. Basically, I feel like after COVID, behavior has definitely been our uphill battle, and I felt like it was time for me to not only support students in the classroom but also support those teachers on campus. So I am currently teaching in Comal ISD, and I am in Canyon Lake at an elementary school in Starkville.
Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Josh, kicking it over to you, my friend.
So the most important part about the beautiful field that we're in, the best field out there because it's a profession that creates all the other professions, education. You know, we all get inspired for one reason or the other. Something motivates us and gives us that spark for making
Time out.
Sorry.
Pam has entered the room. So let me go back, Josh. I'm going to stop you for a second.
International Hispanic time.
Okay.
Sorry.
Fair enough. Pam, you have the floor. A little introduction of yourself, where you're from, what you're all about, please, and thank you.
Okay. I'm very sorry. Hey, Mel. I thought it was 1 hour ahead, so I was waiting, sitting here. Thank God, Josh, you texted. So, hi, everyone. I am Pam Alba from Dominican Republic. It is crazy cold here. No, it's not for you. But we are
Define cold.
Like 16
Our friend
degrees.
from Canada didn't like that one. Go ahead.
No, I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm a STEAM teacher. I teach fifth and sixth grade STEAM class, that fun class where we integrate science, technology, engineering, art, and math. And this has been like a new curriculum and a new subject for my country. So I've been helping teachers um, with the professional development on STEAM and integrating technology. I've been doing this like for 3 years, teaching teachers, and I've been loving it. Um, what else? Well, I'm here and I'm happy to share again because it's been so long that I don't share with international friends.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam, for being here. So right now, as I was saying, something ignited something, a passion within us, or maybe not. Maybe not. You have a different avenue to come into education. So let me know. Let us know. Let your audience out there know. Maybe a high school senior, maybe a sophomore in college that doesn't know what major to go into. Can you please let us know, Tim, what inspired you to be an educator?
I I honestly I think it was born into me, but I still recall the one time we were in a university course and we're studying for a final exam, and I was watching some of my classmates writing on a chalkboard trying to explain how to work out some chemical formula, and I said, "Let me just hold on, let me try, let me just get up there," and I started to do it, and I explained it the way I thought was fairly clear. And afterwards, one of the older students, he was actually a married student, and so he was really old. He was in his 30s, and he came up to us. He came up to me and he said, "Tim, have you ever thought about being a teacher?" I said, "Well, no." He goes, "Man, you got to be a teacher. You are darn good." And I said, "Really? Okay, I'm going to give that some thought." And honestly, that was the first time that I thought of it. And that man's name was Dominic Kelly, and he became a doctor, and he had a long career as a doctor in the area, and he actually got me going.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Pam.
Well, I was never going to be a teacher. I thought I didn't have the patience. It wasn't meant on me. It wasn't for me, like at all. Never was on my plate. But I started working in school in the administrative position as I was administrative secretary. I was um, everything that you can be in the administrative part of schools for like 15 years. Then, like 5 or 4 years ago, one of my bosses, like, she's like, "I want you teaching in my staff." And I'm like, "What? Why? What? How? Where does that come from?" And she's like, "Because you're really good teaching teachers. So you must be great with students." And I just give it a try as a technology teacher, and whoa, I'm loving like being a teacher. I wasn't expecting this passion. And now that I teach middle school, like fifth and sixth grade, it is so amazing. I know I only been 2 years with them. Maybe I won't talk like this in 5 years, but I'm loving how teenagers can be so lost, even though they have good parents, even though they have good friends. But an advice from a teacher, they like they need that so much. So I'm loving teaching, but it wasn't for me like at all.
Awesome. Thank you, Pam. Brian.
Yeah, so my story, I didn't start out to be a teacher, just kind of like Pam, that, I always knew I wanted to serve. I wanted to give back. I wanted to be part of the community somehow. But I didn't think about teaching as my path. So I started out when I was going into college, and I started out in criminal justice. And the deeper I got into criminal justice, the more I just realized it didn't fit my personality. So I was playing in a basketball league at the time, and I was all bummed out because I didn't know, I just made this revelation. I'm years deep in schooling, and criminal justice isn't my path. And I'm playing basketball with this young man, and he was in elementary ed. So he started telling me all about elementary ed, and it got me thinking because I always worked youth programs, being a youth leader, and my grandmother was a teacher, my mom was a teacher, so yeah, that's how I just kind of gravitated towards that from that experience right there.
Ginger.
Well, so I walked out of school on the first day of kindergarten and told my mom I was going to be a teacher. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I spent my young years, like, the teachers would like give me old teacher books to take home, and I like schooled my brother. He will tell you he hated it. Um, but I taught him how to read and do math and all that before he ever went to school. So I never really thought about being anything else. And I love teenagers. I love middle school, and that was my place. I tried like little kids for a while, not my place. High schoolers, not my place either. And then like with homeschooling, I had never considered it. But both of my kids have some learning challenges, and we needed flexibility with therapies and we just needed options. And so I just jumped in, and we've homeschooled them since kindergarten and been through a lot of different things with them. A lot of, I have to be everything: the math teacher, the reading teacher, the science teacher, the diagnostician. I like reading less, like the least of all the jobs. So right now we're in middle school. We're in 8th grade science. It's my favorite, and we spend a lot of time doing it. So I just love it. It's been my best teaching job ever.
Sam.
So for me, I it's crazy because I always knew I was gonna go to college. It was just like I had to go to college. And then it just so happened I ended up at Texas State. It was like I wanted to go to college and I didn't want to stay in El Paso, which is rare. Most people want to stay where they're in El Paso. Nobody leaves the El Paso bubble, like I like to say. But when I started, I was first generation college student. I still remember trying to register for classes, and my mom's like, I have no idea how to help you do that because I've never done it. And so it just, as I went through the whole system, I realized that there was like this, I guess I really wanted to become the teacher that I needed as a child. I was that kind of kid that kind of fell through the cracks. I was never sped, but I was never like the best in everything I did. And so I kind of went with that, and I was like, well, I want to be a special ed teacher. And I went into it like thinking I want to do inclusion and resource. Like I never want to do life skills. Like I cannot, like there's just things about life skills that I thought I could never handle. And I did all of the things in my undergrad that led me to being an inclusion resource teacher. And then when I did my student teaching, it just so happened that the teacher they placed me with was placed in a brand new life skills autism unit, but she was still labeled as a resource teacher. So the university thought they were placing me with a resource teacher, but she was actually a life skills teacher. I went in there the first week and I said, I cannot do this because it was ABA. For some of you that don't know that, it's that applied analysis behavior. And so it was like, whatever demand you place, you have to hold it to it. I mean, it can take all day asking them to point to the color red, but we're going to stay all day pointing to the color red. And after the first week, I said, I don't want to do anything else. And so I spent pretty much 9 years doing that. And I just got really good with dealing with behaviors and those kids that need us the most. I am very good at trying to make those relationships, because a lot of times I see myself in some of those kids, not necessarily the troubled, but the part where like the teacher's not seeing that I'm missing the instruction piece. You know, it's not that I don't want to be a good student. It's that I'm having trouble being a good student.
I love that. You know, you all have this little shining light in your stories here and how you became who you are. You know, the next question I'm going to talk about is, you know, the post-COVID time period. And we're going to talk about dysregulation versus regulation, the good, the bad, you know, that's right up your alley, Sam. And I'm going to start off with you and work kind of backwards here because, you know, post COVID has its good and its bad sides for all of us. As educational leaders, we are continuously putting kids back on the track, picking them up, dusting them off. In the classroom, you're doing that in a clearer pathway. We do it globally. So let's hear about you guys. And you know what? We try to find good in everything all about education. So let's try to find that during this little piece of this whole session right here. So Sam, the good, the bad, post-COVID, talk to us.
Honestly, I feel like I'll start off with the good because I think it's easy to point out the bad. I when it comes to the good, it's I know as much as we all hate those map testings, it's like we're finally getting screeners to see where our kids are actually at versus where they used to be. And I think that's a huge piece because I mean, now we have so much technology. Now we have so many other things that kids are having to worry about that as a kid I didn't have to worry about. And so trying to figure out where they are. I know I see it all the time where a lot of times those kids can do math in their head and they don't need to put it on paper, but yet we're still in that old school mind frame where we're trying to put it on paper. And so those are the good things. Hold on. Those are the good things. Definitely the bad, what I notice a lot is like we see a lot of those kids that we kind of forget that, hey, when was the last time they had their first school, their first year in school? You know what I mean? Like I was a kinder teacher when COVID hit. And so those kindergartners are now in third grade.
Right.
They're getting STAR tested and they didn't have a first full school year without COVID. Like their first year was like COVID hit and then they had to end it at home. And so those things, and I like, even like I was explaining just recently, with with some of the pre-K kids, the behaviors that they're seeing. And I'm like, do you realize that these kids grew up, like they were at home when they were babies. They didn't go places for most of them. They stayed home. And so they don't know what it's like to spend such a long period of time away from their families, or what it's like to be around other kids without covered masks, So it's like there is a lot of negatives when it comes to those behavior pieces, but I think finally we're talking about social and emotional learning.
And how that's important. There's no doubt about that. Thank you, Sam. Brian, kick it up to you. Staying with the littles. Go.
Yeah, with the littles, and maybe this isn't exactly what you're looking for, but I would say like the good is an appreciation for like what we have. So in my district, COVID hit, and obviously everybody got sent home. For myself, my district, I taught a full year of remote second grade, and then the rest of the district was hybrid. So they're only in school for 2 days a week. They split the class in half. So it's that appreciation for myself, always hearing that laughter, seeing the kids. I was coaching basketball at the time, and we're in the playoffs, and it was crazy. We hit a buzzer beater right at the end to win the game, and then the next day it was kind of like the world shut down. Sports came to a close. You had that year where sporting events where just like the athletes could be there, like nobody else. But now, like the fans are in the stands, and just that whole, like, high school is an experience. Elementary, we can put stuff in elementary school where it's an experience, and I think that appreciation for all these events that are coming back, and the kids can really experience that. And
I
then,
love that.
yeah, and then for the bad, I'm seeing the growth back. But last year, so Samantha was talking about her kindergartners, they're leaving that kindergarten year. So they come up to me as a second grade teacher. So my kids last year, they had half a year of kindergarten. Their first grade year was a hybrid year where they're only in school for 2 days a week. So there was a lot of loss there. There was a lot of steps back and everything. And like Samantha said, it really focused on meeting the students where they're at. But I think it's starting to level off again. Like this group that came in, they were a little bit, because they had that every single day reinforcement with the foundational skills. So I think that's a positive step going forward.
I love that. And I love that you're coaching basketball. I did that for 12 years in high school level. So I absolutely can understand exactly what you're talking about. Tim.
Oh yeah, well, bad things about COVID, good things about COVID. Thing I like about what's happened coming out of COVID is we're far more adept at the different methodologies of teaching, and the strategies we can get across to kids. I love that we now have options to communicate online, but there's no question I like having the kids in front of me. There's an element of getting back into the swing of things. I think even still, the social aspect in schools is lagging a little bit. I think kids are a little bit slower on the social skills. But that's what I love about being a teacher is I get a chance to model good social skills. I get a chance to try to draw them in. I think there's a lot of pressure maybe on teachers to almost perform in a way because there's such a two-dimensional society now. Everything is entertainment on a two-dimensional screen, and it gives us puts us in a position where we have to kind of compete with that. And but I'm up to the challenge, and I think it's a responsibility of the teacher, and I think that's that's why we have this great job is we get to influence kids back into sort of the swing of things again. So I'm happy about the new technologies that we're able to use. And I'm challenged by the social aspects, but I'm up to the challenge, and I'm doing my best to energize these kids and get them back looking at humans face to face. And every once in a while, you have to say, "Hey, look, I'm actually here. You know, this is actually me. I'm out on a screen. You can talk to me."
I love how you said we're challenged by certain things, and we are. That's a very pleasant way to say that we still have to do our job, and we're going to get what we need to get. So, thank you for saying that. I absolutely love that, Pam.
Well, I love, Sam, that you started with the good thing. For me, good thing is that now teachers can understand my technology language. Now my friends use technology same way that I've been telling them like for years. So they know how to integrate it, and about they had to do it in a forced way. But teacher at my school, they have the opportunities. We have technology, and now they can use it. Another good thing is that students are self-learned. I used to take a whole period teaching them how to save a file on a folder. Now I don't have to do it because they just, oh yeah, we put it here. Like even first graders, they like have the hang of technology, and not only just programming and coding, is that they know how to open email. They know how to like check the files, Google Drive. Those are like easy tasks in our technology class that can like we don't have to spend 40 minutes teaching them how to create a folder. Why is a folder? Why is an email? Like even for first graders, it's uncommon vocabulary. Technology vocabulary has been more common on our students. So for me, that is amazing. Now on the downsides of it, social, like I think Tim was saying, students are very shy. I work as in teams. I don't have tables. I don't have a separate desk. I have like big tables where we have to work in teams. And I'm having a lot of students asking me, can I do it alone? I cannot work with them, or I cannot do that with a team. So I've been having to teach them, yeah, we can. Let's do it. Listen to our friends. You can talk to, go, you can say it. Say your ideas, because they are shy of telling others what they think of. I think we should do this. My project can work like that. So yeah, team, we have to work on social skills again.
Understood, and you're absolutely correct by saying that. Ginger, from the home stretch, the homeschooling lens.
Yeah.
You got your own kids, so be careful.
COVID didn't really affect our day to day. We just kept doing school. We didn't have any shutdowns. I also work for my family business, and we were deemed essential. So I still went to work in the afternoons. We do school in the mornings. My husband is an athletic trainer. So he is in the realm of the sports. And so his world changed a lot. And suddenly he was home for 5 months. So those kind of things change. We do a co-op on Fridays. And so that went virtual. So we had that same aspect like you would in public school. That was a challenge. But the boys handled it fine. I think for me, like maybe not so much educationally, but as a mom and talking to my friends whose kids are in public and private schools, I think that families got to be together. And that was a real big positive for me. Like, I think parents got to see their kids learning. They got to see like what homeschooling is like, what teachers have to go through. Like, I think the parents gained an appreciation from my viewpoint. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good. I wish when I was teaching, parents understood what I was doing and what it was like to be teaching their kids all day long. So I think that was a good thing. I do listen to my friends and the same struggles that you are all relating with the social aspects and the getting back into rhythms. I feel like I hear that too. I can say that my boys were super excited that their life stayed the same. It didn't feel as scary. So I think maybe from the student standpoint, that going home and not knowing what was going on, I'm sure was frightening. Like, even if they didn't articulate it that way. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you for sharing out. Josh.
Thank you, Ginger. And so now that we've discussed the things that we've learned, that we observed, why we got into education, let's talk about the support system, because that's the most crucial part of any educator. Our team members in the classroom require the best support, especially right now with those gaps of learning that we've observed, correct? And that you all talked about. So you being every day there in the trenches, getting dirty with everything, all the documentation, all the minutia, everything that goes with it. What do you see, or what do you recommend? What is your opinion that you need from leadership to help you become a more successful professional? What do you need from a leader to help support you? Team.
I'm seeing it daily. We have a wonderful new administrator in our school. Erin Florco is just spectacular. She's doing what I want all administrators to do, and that is she's welcoming and she encourages you. And every time you see her, she's got a smile and she's got something positive to say. And you know how sometimes people come across a little bit fake? I mean, she's just not fake. She's genuine. And today, for instance, she came into my classroom and mostly because I saw her in the library and I said, Erin, you got to come down to class. Just come. And I'd love to. So she came down and she literally just sat down in a desk for 45 minutes. And then she walked around and talked to the students and I walked around with her and talked to the students with her about the work that they were doing. And then we stood and talked, and she just was so encouraging and had some suggestions of some things to do. Like, for instance, maybe go to other schools. Why don't you go over to that school and show some of the other teachers the way you engage the students and interact with them. And, people could learn from your 30 years of experience. And now she wants to set stuff up for that. Like, all of the opportunities just started flowing out of her mouth. I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you are the administrator I want to work for. You're here in the trenches with me, and you're encouraging, and you're living the class alongside of me. And just a spectacular example of the type of administrator that we need. To the leadership in the school that she's bringing is wonderful. So that's from the heart.
I love it.
Thanks, Tim. Sam.
Well, I mean, I think the reality is this has a lot of levels. You have people at the state level that are making decisions and never been in a classroom. So we need people that are from a classroom making those decisions, even regarding testing, because they don't see what we see day to day. You also have, like Tim was mentioning, the administrators. I know when I was teaching virtual, I had to remind myself was that I have ever taught virtual. You know, they got their 3 years of experience in a classroom. They never had to do virtual. So as much as I appreciated their feedback, they also didn't have to do all the multitasking pieces that we did. So just understanding that piece, you know, understanding what we're having to take on now. And I think right now in this time, we need the support. We need to feel supported on all fronts, because I think that's kind of where a lot of teachers are walking away from the profession, because we don't feel supported. We feel tired, and when we're saying we're tired, we're given more work, or let's change this up and then do something new. And I think we just really honestly we need the support and the understanding, and we want to know that they have our back, just like we will go to the end of the earth for our students. We want to feel the same way from our team, from our leaders.
Thank you. Ginger, what does it look like for you?
Well, it's a little different with homeschooling.
We all want to hear you, Ginger.
Like I guess when I think about, well, I did teach for a while. And my very last year of teaching, I was very pregnant with twin boys. And I worked in a school where there wasn't a lot of acknowledgement of like the hard work put in. I was there early. I was there late. I worked really hard to get those 8th graders where they needed to be, and my kids' scores were equal to like the GT scores in the district. And it didn't feel like it mattered. I wasn't looking for someone to throw me a party. It was my job. I loved my job. I loved my students. But it was really easy to walk away after, like, because I was going to have the boys that summer. And then I knew I wasn't coming back because I needed to take care of twins for a while. So, like, and I guess at home, like, it's immediate feedback. Like, I know if my kids don't like what I'm teaching them or if it's not resonating with them. So I get to be like all the people, and like I'm able to just change things instantaneously if I want to. And I have done that many a time. So I guess if I ever went back into education, if one day I do go back to teaching, I would just really hope that some of that has changed, and that that the administration takes time to notice the hard work that is going in, even if that teacher is in the far end of the building and never sends kids to the office.
Thank you, Ginger. Brian.
Brian, you're on mute.
Brian.
That remote teacher,
I was
you got
on
it.
fire right there. I was ready to go.
I know. Read those lips, the energy. It's touchdown, baby.
Yeah, sorry about
Wind
that.
it back. Wind it back.
So what I was saying is, piggybacking off of what everybody else said, looking for somebody that's welcoming, encouraging, positive. I had the pleasure of interviewing Josh. I had Josh on the podcast. And, a couple of things, Josh, that you said, your body language tells so much. So that administrator, that body language that you're giving off. You also Josh talked about establishing patterns of positive behavior. So what things are you establishing within your school? And I know if everybody that's watching this probably follows Josh on social media and all of the different things that you do throughout the week to build that school culture. Because we can't just throw up something on the wall, a poster, and expect that to, a positive poster to create the culture. It's daily activities. It's daily rituals that we create. I also, the vision. What vision does our leader have? What direction? Knowing that, having the support, knowing that I can come, and I'm lucky I have a great administrator. I can bounce ideas off of him. If I need some help, he's there to help me right away. So just having that support, and I think a big piece of that is communication. And I'm sure everybody's feeling it. Like there's a shortage with like substitutes, at least in my district. So every single day, like aides are getting pulled out of the classroom to cover in different classrooms, which affects my class because I have a aide or a paraprofessional in the classroom for a set period of time, but they're getting pulled all the time. My administrator sends out email every single morning telling the whole staff, these are the changes that we had to make with the staff so that we're aware of the scheduling and everything. So I think that communication piece is huge.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Pam.
Well, I guess I'm here because I have the different voice. So let me explain you a little bit of my country. Um, we okay. So we have the government, right? We have the Ministry of Education, and we have public and private school. But public schools here are for very low income people. I mean, you have to actually like prove that you cannot afford a private school to go to a public school. So every middle high class student go to private school. So that's like the norm. Everyone goes to private school because the government doesn't like fund these public schools very well. So it's not a very good education. They do it, but they thrive a lot. So private school is where I work. I work in the top second school, best school in my country. It's a bilingual school. So imagine it's like the best school in the country, the second best. I hope my boss is not listening because it's the first one. But I have a different approach from maybe you come to the DR and you ask someone else. I have a different approach. So my approach is the following. Me and a partner and I proposed STEAM as a new class. We have to change the curriculum. We have to change the grades for students. And they even build us a new building, new robots, new computers, everything that we needed to do that. That's how my school works. It's like you had solutions, you have a good idea, prove it. I mean, we had to go visit another school, interview international teachers that have done STEAM. And how are we going to build it? We need to find who was going to build it, how we wanted that building and those classrooms, because we wanted maker spaces. So if there's a teacher that has a solution for students, our head of school will listen. Like it's a very good school, but they support the teachers. I mean, they support the teachers to the point that we have now teachers aide that graduated from the school, from St. George School. We have teachers that have left because they get more money from that other top one school, and they have come back. Like many, like more than 10. Like teachers leave because they receive more income, but then they come back. No, we love it here. It's a good like family environment. I mean, we have teachers working there for 30 years, 40, 60. Everyone, we know everyone. I've been there for 12 years. So on the next level, my principal, I know her for like 10 years. I was her administrative assistant first. So I know her like every thought that she has. I know, and I also know how she built this group of teachers. She wanted those same characteristic of teachers, like empowered teachers that want to solve problems, that not just because that's the other thing for at least in my country, like private schools. There are some teachers who just complain. We have this problem. But in my school, like our leaders, they promote solutions. Like, okay, you have the problem, but you have to come up with a solution. You cannot go to your boss like, so I have this kid that is not, I cannot teach him. It's bothering too much. Okay, so what do you want me to do? What options do you have? What do you have for us? How can we help you? That's how we work. Like, we can work together, but they don't work with teachers like are so close. Like, no, I don't want to do this because I want to do it my way. No, there's a way for everyone that we can all participate. So, talking about my principal, she's always finding ways to make the teachers feel part of something. I mean, she's just introducing now. We're introducing a new phonics. Well, not for me, thank God. New phonics. A new phonics program, and she involves everyone. I had to take the PD. The PE teacher had to learn phonics. It's jolly phonics, so it's very singing, and you have to clap a lot. So it was fun to all of us learn the phonics thing, and now you get the teacher and PE singing the phonics songs. So we're all part of the same community. So that's like something that I really appreciate about my principal. She always wants us involved in every part of our staff.
So one of the greatest things that leaders can do is find the pieces of the puzzle to bring everybody together and make them part of a learning community that's second to none. And that's everybody from the bus drivers, teachers, cafeteria workers, and then bring in the people from outside, your community members. That's what makes schools special. So I love hearing that. So really good stuff here. My question is simple. Podcasts. How does it help you become better? Brian, why don't you start with that since you have yourself a podcast? Go.
Yeah, so the podcast, like being a host of a podcast, is just like you guys. Think about just how many people are on this little session right here. And that I get to sit back and I get to listen from somebody from Maine, from Canada, from the Dominican Republic, all my people down in Texas right now. And just unity, because teaching, we can end up being in a teaching silo, where it's easy to get trapped in your classroom. You don't get to bounce ideas off of so many people. Or being at second grade, I can learn so much from Tim, even though, we're teaching completely different subject areas. If I listen to Tim, and I can't wait to dive into his podcast a little bit, that his teaching strategies, some of the ways that he looks to connect with students, it just opens my mind up to new things. I was listening to a great podcast that's not a teaching podcast. Is called Finding Mastery. I was listening to that podcast yesterday, and they were talking to one of the winningest coaches of all time in college. And what is a coach? A coach is a teacher. And just listening to his different teaching philosophies, it exposes us to new people who may not look like us, who may have different cultural backgrounds, come from different perspectives, and it can just open our mind and expose us and help us grow.
Good stuff right there. Tim.
Yeah, as a podcaster myself, Science 360, I get so many opportunities to talk to people who I learned so much from. It's like one of the things I'll always say is it's been a long time since I was a student in a class. If I were to teach today, the last lesson I learned as a student, that's a long time ago. And so now as a podcaster, I'm learning stuff all the time, and I'm bringing fresh material. And then on top of that, I listen to podcasts. There's so many good podcasts out there. Like the big guys like Rich Roll, Jordan Harbinger, Simon Sinek. They just have so many interesting guests on. I just learned so many perspectives from them. And I listen to this stuff. I don't listen to music in my car when I'm commuting anymore because there's just too many good things to learn. I just think it's one of the greatest ways to stay fresh and stay current and stay up to date and relevant and bring new things. And you learn something in your car and you run into your classroom and you say, hey, kids, you won't believe what I just heard. And the number of times I've said, before we get class started, you got to hear this 4 minutes of this clip right here. And I put it on and these kids know. They can listen. You listen to a lot of podcasts, don't you? Yeah, I do. And you should too. And there's stuff to be learned. It's just so easy to learn these days. So I love it.
Yep. Simple and easy. Good stuff. Sam. Oh, Samantha was here. Samantha's back. Hold on, let me get her back in. Beep. There she is. Samantha.
Well, I I haven't spent a lot of time with podcasts. I think it was Mr. Tovar that has gotten me into it. But I've taught in a lot of different places in Texas. I started in San Marcos. I went to Bryan College Station, and then I went to El Paso, and now I am in Comal. And so I think it's gonna be the same kind of thing where I've been able to work with so many different districts, so many different administrators, so many different teams, and just those connections. And like, I know that there's still people in different districts that I still connect with, and like, hey, how would you do this? Like, how, like just the feedback, like how, like even when I moved here, I was like, hey, I'm gonna do behavior. How would you recommend I would, create my classroom? Like you're a behavior specialist in this district. And so just those connections. And then at the same time, it also, that diversity that we see in our classrooms. I know when I came to Canyon Lake, I thought Canyon Lake's like a destination I would probably go to, like, go camping or something. And it's actually, there's a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of trauma in that community. And so it's like, okay, how do I do this now? And having those connections from other people and other places, I think definitely are helps us. And as a teacher, that I'm always like, I have to learn something every day. These connections that we can make through podcasts, through communication with other teachers, definitely helps, and it keeps us in the game.
You could right there, stop right there. It keeps us in the game. You're absolutely correct when you say that. Pam, you're up.
Well, mine is super simple. Podcast has saved my life. Like, I love hearing natural people, like real people talking about real problems. And I used to read a lot of articles and books, but I fall asleep. So I don't get me wrong. I like reading. I love it, but I fall asleep. So podcasts has saved my life. I listen podcasts when I'm driving, when I'm cooking, when I'm here with my kids, and I'm like, yeah, but hold on, wait, I need to listen to this. Wait. But I really learn a lot about everything. Education, therapy sometimes can be really expensive, so I would listen to some therapists and I podcast. I love podcasts a lot, and now I'm following Brian and Tim, my new podcast now.
Good stuff. Ginger.
Yeah, so we listen to a lot of podcasts. There's a lot of homeschooling podcasts. The boys, they've listened to a variety of like science podcasts geared for kids, or history podcasts, or daily events podcasts. I have one that's really interested in political things. And so I have to listen to some political podcasts because I'm not interested in political things. So I kind of have to keep up with him, right? Because the kids, my kids watch a lot of YouTube. I'm sure most of your kids in schools do too. And they listen to podcasts. And so they're getting all this information in. And I have to be able to keep up with all of it. And I don't necessarily listen to a lot of music. And I like listening and hearing what other people have to say. So, yeah, I'm also kind of excited to hear these other podcasts.
Great stuff. Josh.
Awesome. Thanks, everybody, for all the insight. Hey, Brian, thank you for the kudos out there. Appreciate it. Had a fun time on your show. Thank you, Tim, for being here. Pam, thank you for joining us. Ginger, thank you. Sam, thank you very much for being at the Red Zone. And you know what? With all this knowledge that was dropped, you know what, Dean? I think we scored another touchdown. I think we got another one in there. We got another show successful all the way thanks to all our guests. So please, if you see this on the rebroadcast, please share it with somebody else who might want to learn from all of us here, whether it be from Canada, United States, in the islands. Check that out. This is the knowledge that needs to be dropped because you know what? It's universal concerns that we're seeing, as you heard tonight at Unlock the Middle's Red Zone. But we're not done. This Sunday, guess what, Dean? This Sunday.
What do we got?
I
know we have flagship, baby. Let's go. What is it?
Flagship, 7 p.m. Guest is a mystery guest. So I will let you all know later on when we put our promo. So join us for the flagship show, 7 p.m. Thank you. Let's hit the board. Let's go. Let's hit it.
Thank you, guys. Have a great week, guys. Remember, you're always there for your kids and what you do. Make sure you take care of business while you can. Have a great week, everybody.